Chapter 1, with 1 minute left before the university application deadline, Willow Templeton changed her first choice from Bridgewater University to Northwood University. After shutting down her computer, she felt as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. As she leaned back in her chair, her gaze inadvertently fell upon a framed photo of 3 people on her desk. In the picture, the 3 of them stood at the entrance of Bridgewater University. Willow was playfully sticking out her tongue, flanked by Alastair Preston on her left and Samuel Knightley on her right. Alastair's cool, aloof eyes were fixed on her, a doting smile gracing his features. Samuel, on the other hand, had his arm casually slung around her shoulder, his chin resting on top of her head, his gaze possessive as he looked at her. Willow gave a self-deprecating smile and peeled off a slightly yellowed sticky note from the photo. It read, "Willow Templeton, Alastair Preston, and Samuel Knightley will all go to Bridgewater University together." The firm strokes of the pen were still clear despite the time that had passed. Without hesitation, she tore the sticky note into shreds and threw it into the trash can. "Alastair Preston, Samuel Knightley, this time I won't be going with you. From now on, you can take your smooth path and I'll walk my own solitary one." Ding dong. Her phone, lying on the desk, suddenly chimed. Willow picked it up and saw a new message in the group chat. Willow Templeton and her 2 devoted childhood friends. It was meant to be a group chat for 3, but now there were 4 people in it. 3 weeks ago, Iris Holloway had sent a message in the group. "Yay, I checked my grades. I'm definitely getting into Bridgewater. I'm so happy I can continue to be classmates with Alastair, Sam, and Willow. Hope you'll all guide me." Although she said that, the names she tagged afterward were only Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley. Alastair had replied instantly, "Whenever you need me, I'll be there for you in a heartbeat." Samuel had followed up, "Me too. First day of school, the whole campus will know you're under my protection." Willow curled her lip in a sneer and continued scrolling down the screen. 2 weeks ago, it was Alastair and Samuel who posted. One day, Alastair bought a luxury laptop and tagged Iris. "This is a school-starting gift. Did you receive it? If you don't know how to use it, I can teach you." The next day, Samuel bought the latest model phone. "Iris, your current phone is too old. Use this latest model I bought for you." Iris was deeply moved, sending several crying emojis in the group. "The gifts you've given me are too expensive. I don't deserve them." Both of them coincidentally sent the same message, "You're wonderful. You deserve everything." Afterward, they enthusiastically discussed in the group wanting to throw a party for Iris to celebrate. From beginning to end, Willow hadn't said a single word, and no one had paid her any attention. She was clearly an important member of this group chat, yet she felt like an outsider for no reason. And today, the screen was flooded with a pile of photos Iris had posted. Alastair and Samuel, like stars fawning over the moon, surrounded Iris in the center of a banquet hall. In the grand hall, gift boxes were piled up like a small mountain. In the photos, Iris smiled sweetly, like a cherished little princess. After posting the photos, she specifically tagged Willow in the group. "Willow, are you really not coming? The party Alastair and Sam prepared for me is so grand. I'm so happy." Willow hadn't intended to reply until she saw the gown Iris was wearing and the jewelry around her neck. Her face darkened as she typed her reply. "Iris Holloway, where did you get that dress and jewelry?" A few seconds later, Iris sent a voice message. "Oh, I forgot to tell you. I didn't have a gown, and I figured you must have many, so I went to your walk-in closet while you weren't home and picked out a dress and some jewelry." Her delicate voice carried a hint of a smile, and the lively sound of congratulations could be heard in the background. Willow felt a surge of anger. "How did you know the passcode to my house taking without asking is stealing? Don't you understand that?" she typed incredulously. Before she could even send the message, Alastair and Samuel's messages flooded the screen as they began to defend Iris in the group. "Willow, you're not usually so petty. It's just a dress and some jewelry. I'll compensate you if it's a big deal." "Yeah, why say such harsh things? How could Iris steal anything? She only went into your house because she considers you a good friend. We're all going to Bridgewater together, we'll be classmates. Why make things so ugly? Just let her have it." One after another, their messages were reprimands directed at her. Then, each of them transferred her some money, saying they would compensate her for her loss. Willow's chest heaved with anger, and the glaring group chat name on her phone screen now seemed to mock her. She, Alastair Preston, and Samuel Knightley had been childhood friends, growing up together. At 3, when they first met, the two boys clung to her small form, refusing to let go, almost wanting to snatch her home to raise. At 6, Willow loved a certain brand of yogurt. Alastair bought out all the yogurt on the entire street for her, and Samuel even had his family buy the factory, dedicating its supply solely to her. At 13, a big fire broke out at the Templeton house. Walter and Mary Templeton were away on a business trip, and only Willow was trapped inside. When everyone else dared not enter, it was the young Alastair and Samuel who rushed in without hesitation. To this day, both bore scars on their chests from the burns. At 15, when Willow had her first period, Alastair immediately skipped the math Olympiad and rushed back overnight. Samuel anxiously brewed brown sugar tea for her and pressed a warm compress to her stomach, his heart aching for her. All these years, they had always been by her side, like two valiant knights, not allowing any other boy to approach her. On her 17th birthday, both of them confessed their feelings to her. Willow couldn't choose, nor did she want to start a relationship so early. Just as she was about to steel herself to refuse, they immediately grabbed her hands, stopping her from saying any words of rejection. They humbly asked her for some time to consider, to give her answer on the first day of university. Willow didn't want to hurt anyone, so she reluctantly agreed. She thought she would figure out her feelings during that time, until Iris Holloway appeared. Iris was one of the underprivileged students sponsored by the Templeton family. Because of her good grades, she was able to transfer to Willow's high school. She used the excuse of thanking Willow to gradually get closer to her. Initially, Willow, out of pity, often took care of her. When Iris said she couldn't afford meals, Willow frequently used her own meal card to buy her food. When Iris said she couldn't keep up with her studies, Willow sacrificed her own time to help her with her homework. When Iris said she had no friends, Willow introduced her to Alastair and Samuel. But she never expected that in just 3 short months, Iris would meticulously scheme to replace her. Incidents similar to today's had happened countless times this past year. The group chat was still buzzing with their attempts to persuade her, every word defending Iris and blaming her. Willow actually laughed out of anger. Seeing the line, "All 4 of us are going to Bridgewater," she typed out a few words with her fingertips, "Only the 3 of you." She paused for a moment, then deleted it. She accepted their money transfers and then tagged Iris. "Fine, I'll give them to you. Not just the dress and jewelry, but these 2 childhood friends as well, I'm giving them all to you." Chapter 2, after Willow replied, she immediately changed the passcode to her front door. Then she began to clear out everything in the house that reminded her of Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley. She took down many ornaments and dolls from the shelves, tossing them into a box. Before she knew it, the box was overflowing. As she carried the box downstairs to throw it in the trash, she ran into Alastair and Samuel, who were just returning from Iris's party. Their eyes almost immediately spotted the 2 toy bridal veils in the trash can. When they were children playing house with Willow, both had fought to be her groom, nearly coming to blows. In the end, Willow had to accept both veils to stop their squabbling. Even then, they declared that when she actually got married, the other person's veil would have to be thrown away. At that time, Willow had merely blinked her eyes. "How do you know I'll marry one of you when I grow up?" The 2 boys had instantly erupted, insisting she had to choose between them. Now, seeing Willow throw the veils away, and not only that, but everything related to them, they were stunned. Both of them immediately rushed forward. Samuel, always more expressive, gripped her hand tightly, his voice laced with disbelief. "Why would you throw away the things we gave you? Are you still angry about what happened earlier?" "Yes, we did tell Iris your passcode, but aren't you 2 friends? We didn't think it was a big deal. Even if she took your things, we transferred you the money, didn't you accept it?" Alastair, usually cool and reserved, spoke with a tremor in his voice. "Willow, it was just a small thing. It's fine if you're angry, but why throw things away? Do you have to be so heartless?" She threw their things away, and that was heartless. That made them lose their composure. What if she told them she had already changed her university application choices behind their backs, just to get away from them forever? Wouldn't they go insane? "I'm not angry. These things just got moldy, so of course they had to be thrown out." She spoke calmly, her eyes meeting theirs, as tranquil as still water. "Are you really not angry anymore?" they asked in unison. Willow shook her head. No, after all, these two would have nothing to do with her in the future. What was there to be angry about? Hearing this, Samuel immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Alistair's brow also relaxed. "If they were moldy, it's good you threw them out. We'll buy you new ones in the future." She didn't speak, just hummed an acknowledgement and turned to leave, her demeanor indifferent. Watching her retreating figure, Samuel still sensed something was off. He knew Willow wasn't being entirely truthful. He ran a hand through his hair in frustration, exchanged a look with Alistair, and then jerked his chin impatiently. "Should we go and try to soothe her?" Alistair's eyes were downcast, his expression unreadable. "You go," he said coolly. Samuel took a step, then paused, as if a thought had struck him. "Forget it. She has to make her choice on the first day of school anyway. If she's still angry then, we can explain about Iris." Alistair nodded. The two of them went their separate ways home. For several days, neither Alistair nor Samuel came to see Willow. Through Iris's non-stop social media posts, Willow knew they had been accompanying Iris, helping her complete her post-graduation wishlist. Amusement parks she'd never been to, a planetarium she was curious about, the Great Wall she'd only seen in books. They took Iris to experience them all, one by one. Willow looked through them, even finding it in herself to give a like to some posts. Until one day, she received her acceptance letter from Northwood University. Just as she put the letter away, Alistair and Samuel knocked on her door together. "Willow, our acceptance letters have arrived. Has yours? Let's go get them together." Willow's expression was faint. The usual warmth in her eyes was replaced by a cold indifference. "No need, mine has already been delivered." She was about to close the door. Alistair quickly put his hand out to stop it. "Wait, I've booked a private room. Let's have a meal together to celebrate." Samuel also stepped forward to block the door, chiming in, "After eating, we can go buy school supplies together." Willow didn't want to go, but the two of them refused to leave and wouldn't let her close the door. Helpless, she could only nod in agreement. She followed them into a hot pot restaurant. The spicy aroma assailed her nostrils, and Willow subconsciously rubbed her nose, her eyes turning a little red. At the reserved table, Iris was already adding ingredients to the pot. "You're finally here, the pot's boiling. I've been waiting for you for ages." Seeing Iris, Willow frowned instinctively. Samuel quickly explained, "Willow, Iris said she needed to buy supplies too, so we invited her along." Alistair, however, studied her expression carefully before adding, "We'll all be classmates in the future, so we just thought we'd take care of her a bit more." Willow no longer wanted to hear any more explanations. She just wanted to finish the meal quickly, buy her things, and go home. But sitting at the table, she couldn't eat a single bite. The spicy red broth was alarmingly full of chilies. Iris ate with relish, but Willow had suffered from stomach problems since childhood and couldn't handle spicy food. After a few reluctant bites, a burning pain seared her stomach. She called a waiter over, intending to order a few non-spicy dishes. But just as she got the menu, Iris snatched it away and added several even spicier dishes. Alistair and Samuel watched with smiles, completely forgetting that Willow couldn't eat spicy food. Now Willow could see that Iris was doing this entirely on purpose. She didn't fight back as she might have in the past, which would only lead to her two childhood friends defending Iris and criticizing her. She was tired of this game, so she silently drank plain water, not saying a word. Chapter 3. While shopping for essential school supplies at the mall, Willow browsed the winter clothing section, picking out several thick garments. Alistair noticed and reminded her, "Bridgewater University is right here in the city. It's like spring all year round. You won't need these thick clothes, there's no need to buy them." Bridgewater? She wasn't going to Bridgewater. She didn't explain, just offered a perfunctory excuse. "I know. These clothes look quite nice, though. I can wear them when I travel." Alistair frowned slightly, his lips moved as if to say something, but in the end, he remained silent. On the way back, Iris hesitated for a long time before tugging on Samuel's and Alistair's sleeves. "Sam, Alistair, can I not go back?" She bit her lip, her slightly downcast eyes glistening with moisture. "The neighborhood where I live, the poor district, has had bad security lately. I'm scared every time I go back, always on edge." As she spoke, she looked up at Samuel and Alistair with pleading eyes. Of course, you can come stay at my place. My house has plenty of rooms. Pick whichever you like, Samuel, momentarily softened, generously assured her. Alistair also gave a soft, You can stay at my place for a while too. It's very safe. Iris couldn't stop smiling, thanking them profusely, and subtly glancing at Willow. Thank you, you're both so good to me. I've never lived in such a nice house before. Willow leaned against the car window, turning a deaf ear, her gaze drifting aimlessly into the distance. It didn't matter to her where Iris stayed. It had nothing to do with her. The next morning, Willow received a call from Walter and Mary Templeton. Willow, are you really sure you don't want to go to Bridgewater? Although Northwood is better, didn't you, Alistair, and Sam agree to go to the same school? Those two boys have been inseparably glued to you since they were little. They can't stand you being gone for an hour. If they find out you changed schools, won't they go crazy? Willow forced a smile. That's their business. It has nothing to do with me. It's true I wanted to go to Bridgewater because of our agreement, but Northwood has a major I like more. This is my life. I'll make my own choices. Hearing this, Walter and Mary didn't try to persuade her further, just fussed caringly for a few moments. In that case, take good care of yourself at home alone during this time. We'll be back to stay with you after we finish this business trip and get through this busy period. Oh, by the way, the back-to-school gift Mom and Dad bought for you has arrived. Remember to pick it up. Okay, thank you, Dad. Thank you, Mom. Willow smiled as she hung up the phone, then opened her text messages. Sure enough, 10 minutes ago, the courier had sent her a pickup notification. Package left at your doorstep. Please sign for it. She quickly got up to open the door, only to find nothing there. Just as she was puzzled and about to call the courier, Iris suddenly came out of Alistair's house, waving something in her hand. Willow, are you looking for this? And what she was waving was, indeed, a violin. I just saw a package at your door, so I helped you open it. Is this from your parents? What a beautiful violin. I wish I had one too. Can you give it to me? As she spoke, her eyes shone as she caressed the violin in her hands, unwilling to let go. Willow had never met someone with such a complete lack of boundaries. For a moment, she almost doubted if she had heard correctly. Hasn't anyone ever told you not to randomly open other people's things? If you like it so much, why don't you buy one yourself? Hearing this, Iris's eyes instantly reddened, and she sobbed, You know my family can't afford it. Why do you have to humiliate me like this? Willow had no time for Iris's theatrics and couldn't be bothered to argue with her. She reached out directly to take the violin. But Iris clutched the violin tightly, looking as if she adored it, refusing to let go. In the struggle, it was unclear who let go first. The beautifully gleaming violin fell to the ground with a thud. An ugly crack split across its perfect body, glaringly obvious. Chapter 4. Willow could no longer contain her anger. Iris Holloway, hearing the commotion, Alistair quickly walked out. Samuel, next door, heard the noise and immediately rushed out as well. And as both of them emerged, the first thing that met their eyes was Iris's tear-streaked, pitiful face. They ran to her side together. What's wrong? Weren't you fine just now? Who bullied you? She sniffled, her voice thick with tears. It's not Willow's fault. She accidentally dropped the violin she'd just bought. It's natural for her to be upset. I just showed up, and she lashed out at me as if to vent her anger and even pushed me. But I'm not angry. As long as she can be a little happier, I'm willing to do anything. She dropped the violin, she lashed out at Iris and pushed her to vent her anger. Willow could understand every word Iris said, but when put together, only two words echoed in her mind. Absurd, absolutely. Utterly absurd. She thought Iris was just a shameless manipulator. But she hadn't expected her to be so morally bankrupt, capable of twisting black into white. Before Willow could even speak, Samuel's face darkened, and he rebuked her. Willow Templeton, even if you're throwing a tantrum like a spoiled brat, this isn't the way to do it. Apologize to Iris, Alistair chimed in coldly. Willow, you've really gone too far. Apologize immediately. Willow's temples throbbed with anger. She struggled to control her emotions. Me, apologize? Alistair Preston, Samuel Knightley, there are security cameras in this hallway. Do you want to see what really happened? Hearing this, Iris immediately became agitated, crying even more hysterically. Alistair, Sam, please don't blame Willow. I'm really fine. If you stand up for me like this, I won't be able to be friends with Willow anymore. At these words, Alistair quickly took out a tissue and gently wiped the tears from Iris's face, patting her back. It's okay, it's not your fault. Don't cry, be good. Samuel shot a cold glare at Willow. Look at how you're acting, and then look at Iris. The difference is night and day. With that, the two of them protectively escorted the sobbing Iris away without a backward glance. Watching their retreating figures, Willow felt a heavy knot of frustration in her chest. She could only repeat to herself over and over, soon she wouldn't have to see these three people anymore, and she'd have no connection with them whatsoever. 3 days later, it was the pre-arranged class reunion. As soon as Willow arrived, many classmates curiously looked behind her, their eyes then filling with disappointment. Willow, why aren't the campus heartthrob and the campus alpha here? Don't they usually follow you wherever you go? Yeah, I heard you all got into Bridgewater. On the first day of school, you have to choose between Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley. Have you decided who you'll pick? Before Willow could speak, a few classmates who usually picked on her chimed in. Choose who? Does Willow Templeton even have a chance to choose anymore? Alastair and Sam prefer Iris now. Why are you still asking her that? Haven't you figured it out yet? The group snickered, waiting to see Willow's reaction. They expected her to get angry, but surprisingly, she didn't say a word, not even sparing them a glance. Frustrated, the group was about to continue their taunts when the private room door opened. Alastair and Samuel, one on each side like two knights, flanked Iris as they entered. The group immediately looked at Willow and started snickering again. Now that the campus heartthrob and campus alpha don't like her anymore, I really don't know what she has to be so stuck up about. She's not stuck up, she's like a cast-off cur, ha ha ha. Look at her. She looks like a lost dog. The class monitor wiped cold sweat from his forehead and quickly tried to smooth things over. Everyone's here, let's get the party started. At the party, everyone was boisterous. Alastair carefully took off his jacket and draped it over Iris's shoulders. The AC is strong in here, wear a bit more. Samuel sat with a rebellious slouch, skillfully twirling a fruit knife in his hand. With a few quick flicks, the fruit peels landed neatly in the trash can. In no time, a bowl of fruit appeared in front of Iris. He drawled lazily, eat more fruit, drink less alcohol. They were extremely considerate in their care for Iris. Mindful of the previous incident, neither of them even glanced in Willow's direction. Willow sat in a corner, calmly eating her fruit, her expression filled with indifference. Midway, someone instigated a game of truth or dare. Willow initially didn't want to participate but was forcibly pulled in. After a few rounds, Willow lost. All right, it's Willow's turn to share a secret with everyone. A secret. Willow chuckled inwardly, her gaze sweeping past Alastair and Samuel. Then she said faintly, my secret is on the first day of school, I will throw away 2 things. Chapter 5. The crowd didn't grasp the deeper meaning in Willow's words and seemed rather uninterested. That's hardly a secret. How is throwing something away a secret? We'll let you off easy this round, but you can't be so perfunctory next time. She nodded, but offered no explanation. Unfortunately, Willow lost the next round as well. Instantly, the private room erupted with jeers. Willow, we can't let you off so easily this time. Let's think of something difficult. How about this? Alastair Preston or Samuel Knightley, who will you actually choose as your boyfriend? As soon as this question was posed, everyone in the room craned their necks, eagerly awaiting the answer. Alastair nervously took several sips of water. Samuel was no better, his fists clenched so tightly they never loosened for a moment. Willow glanced at them, somewhat surprised that they, whose eyes were now seemingly only for Iris, would still be nervous about her answer. She sneered, both of them. Before Willow could finish her sentence, Iris let out a startled cry. Everyone turned to look, only to see that Iris had accidentally spilled wine on herself. The liquid instantly soaked her collar, and her pure white dress, now wet, clung tightly to her skin, the outline of her underwear faintly visible. Alastair's and Samuel's expressions changed slightly. One quickly pulled the jacket tighter around Iris, while the other swiftly cleared a path, leading her away to change clothes. The game was forced to a halt. With the center of attention gone, the crowd lost interest in continuing the game. Some began to whisper about wanting to leave. The class monitor quickly addressed the group. Everyone, don't go yet. Miss Lawson also bought a lot of fireworks for us to set off by the river, to celebrate the start of our new journey. Hearing this, those who had been whispering about leaving fell silent. After a long wait, Iris finally arrived, flanked by Alastair and Samuel. She was wearing a layered, pink princess gown, a gift from Alastair, and the crystal shoes on her feet were encrusted with diamonds, priceless, and a gift from Samuel. She made a dazzling entrance, like a delicate little princess. The crowd murmured amongst themselves, gasping with envy. After all, the dress and shoes were new high couture pieces from C brand. Only Willow gave them a cursory glance before paying no further attention. The group went boisterously to set off fireworks. Brilliant fireworks bloomed in the dark sky, and almost everyone silently made a wish. Only Iris shouted towards the river, "I hope Alastair Preston's and Samuel Knightley's wishes all come true." Hearing this, Alastair's usually indifferent eyes couldn't help but show a flicker of emotion. Samuel grinned broadly and gently ruffled Iris's hair. "Why are you so silly? Who makes wishes for others?" Iris turned her head, pouted, and smiled at the two of them. "But you are the most important people in my heart." Alastair and Samuel both chuckled, speaking in unison. "You are the most important person to me too." Willow felt the air was thick with a cloyingly sweet atmosphere and didn't want to stay near them any longer. So she turned and went to a corner, quietly admiring the fireworks alone. When Iris noticed, she immediately tugged Alastair and Samuel. "Willow seems unhappy. She hasn't even set off any fireworks. Let's go cheer her up. I'm not angry about last time anymore, so you two shouldn't be either." Hearing this, Alastair's gaze deepened, his feet seemingly rooted to the ground, unmoving. Samuel also turned his head away, not looking at Willow, and refused to budge. "Well, since you two won't go, I'll go cheer her up and give her a surprise." Saying that, she smiled, picked up a bundle of fireworks, and as she neared Willow from behind, she quietly lit them and casually tossed them all onto Willow's head. With a bang, the fireworks exploded. Everyone looked over to see Willow engulfed in flames. Willow, Alastair's and Samuel's hearts clenched, and they ran over like madmen. Chapter 6. When Willow woke up again, she opened her eyes to a world of white, the strong smell of disinfectant filling her nostrils. She tried to move, but her entire body ached severely. The nurse changing her dressing quickly stopped her. "Don't move, you have severe burns. Luckily, you were brought in promptly, and you've had skin grafts, so you won't have scars. Otherwise, such a beautiful face and fair skin like yours would have been completely ruined." Willow remembered the scene before she lost consciousness, and a chill ran down her spine. She truly didn't know how someone could be so malicious. She wanted to speak, but the pain racking her body left her with no strength. Just then, the nurse added, "By the way, it was two very handsome young men who brought you to the hospital. You were unconscious when they arrived, so you didn't see how frantic they were. They've been watching over you for as many days as you've been unconscious. They were just persuaded to go rest. Should we wake them? They'd be overjoyed to know you're awake." Willow quickly stopped her. No, she didn't want to see Alastair Preston or Samuel Knightley. The nurse nodded and pushed the dressing cart away. But it wasn't long before Alastair and Samuel, having heard the news, rushed over. They were usually quite particular about cleanliness, but now their eyes were bloodshot, their shirts hadn't been changed in days, and their faces were etched with pain. The moment they saw her, their eyes trembled. "Willow, are you okay? We're so sorry we didn't protect you." Before Willow could speak, Alastair spoke again, handing her a thick stack of handwritten apology letters. "Willow, I know you're in a lot of pain. Iris was indeed wrong this time, but she didn't do it intentionally. She's felt guilty for as long as you've been unconscious, constantly thinking about how to apologize to you. Please forgive her." Hearing these words, Willow's palms felt cold. "I'm the one who's injured. She feels guilty, so am I supposed to be responsible for that too?" "Willow, that's not what I mean. Iris just wants to apologize to you." "Wants to apologize? Fine, let her come here and suffer the same injuries as me." With that, she closed her eyes, not wanting to look at their faces anymore. Samuel frowned, his voice as gentle as possible. "Willow, don't be so aggressive. Iris really feels terrible." "Terrible?" Willow laughed until tears streamed down her face. "If she feels so terrible, and you feel so bad for her, then go see her." "What are you doing in my hospital room?" Her eyes were filled with cold indifference, as if pushing everyone miles away. Alastair and Samuel exchanged a look and sighed helplessly. They knew that nothing they said now would get through to her. Samuel said resignedly, "Willow, I've found the best doctor in the city to treat you. You won't have any scars, don't worry." Alastair followed, I've left Preston family bodyguards here. If you want to eat or need anything, just tell them. We'll come to see you every day." After speaking, they took a deep look at Willow, who was resting with her eyes closed, and then left. After they left, Willow clenched her teeth, gasping for breath in pain. The anesthetic had worn off the moment she woke up. Her entire body felt like it was being torn apart by knives. She had been forcefully suppressing her grievances and pain, refusing to make a single sound of vulnerability. Until, after an unknown amount of time, Walter and Mary Templeton rushed in. "Willow, does it hurt?" As soon as her parents' concerned words left their lips, Willow could no longer hold back. The tears she had suppressed for so long finally streamed down. "Dad, Mom," she broke down sobbing. "It hurts so much." Mary Templeton hugged her tightly, her heart aching beyond words. Walter Templeton's face was dark as he slammed his hand on the table. "We truly let a wolf into our house. That Iris Holloway must have done it on purpose from today onwards. We will revoke Iris's sponsorship. We will also do our best to find evidence and hold her accountable for all her actions." After a long time, Willow's emotions finally stabilized. Walter and Mary had to leave due to work. "Willow, recover well. Mom and Dad are busy with work, so we have to go now, but we absolutely will not let her off." Walter and Mary Templeton came and left in a hurry. The hospital room became empty and cold again, but Willow didn't feel as sad as before. Her heart felt warm. She closed her eyes, just beginning to feel drowsy, when a knock sounded at the door. Before she could make a sound, she heard the hospital room door being pushed open. Chapter 7, this time, it was Iris. She was crying pitifully, large tears rolling down her cheeks as she sobbed, "I'm sorry, Willow, please forgive me, okay? I can't lose the Templeton family's sponsorship, and I can't go to jail. I won't be able to survive, I'm sorry. I really didn't do it on purpose, I beg you, please forgive me, okay?" She repeated her apologies countless times, but Willow couldn't detect a single shred of sincerity. If her sponsorship hadn't been revoked, if she wasn't being held accountable, would she have come to apologize? It was a no-brainer. Willow didn't want to see her and pressed the nurse call bell beside her. "Nurse, I don't know her. She's disturbing my rest. Could you please help me get her out of here? Thank you." Hearing this, the nurse's eyes instantly filled with vigilance. She quickly grabbed Iris's arm and asked her to leave. Iris stumbled, still pleading as she was pushed, when suddenly two voices came from behind. "Don't touch her," Alastair and Samuel quickly supported Iris, asking gently, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." She feigned ease with a shake of her head, but her red-rimmed eyes revealed everything. "Willow doesn't want to see me. I should just go." Though she said this, she made no move to leave. Seeing this, the two men quickly grabbed her hand and barged into the hospital room again. Samuel tried to persuade Willow again. "Willow, Iris is truly remorseful. Revoking her sponsorship is one thing, but holding her legally responsible is too much. Just forgive her this once." Iris grabbed Samuel's hand, tears streaming down her face like rain. "Sam, you don't have to speak up for me. Although it wasn't intentional, if it weren't for me, Willow wouldn't have gotten hurt and needed skin grafts, suffering so much pain. I know she won't forgive me easily." As she spoke, she produced a knife from somewhere, her eyes filled with tears, and looked at Willow with determination. "Willow, you said that if I also got hurt, you would forgive me, right?" With that, she gripped the knife and slashed it viciously across her arm. Bright red blood gushed out instantly, a deeply, acutely stinging sight for everyone. Just as she was about to make a second cut, Alastair's eyes narrowed. He immediately snatched the knife from Iris and slashed his own arm forcefully. "I'll take it for her." Samuel, not to be outdone, took the knife and cut his own arm. "If 2 cuts aren't enough, there's still me, I'll bear it for Iris too." Willow lay in her hospital bed, watching the two men vying to get injured for Iris. For a moment, she felt a sense of unreality. Did she really know these two people in front of her? The three of them had been childhood friends for over a decade. Iris had only appeared a month ago. How could things change so quickly? The 3 people before her were still arguing. Willow suppressed the ache in her heart, lowered her gaze, and finally spoke, "I don't accept emotional blackmail. Whether I forgive or not is my decision. I need to rest now. Please leave." Her voice was as cold as ice. Even though the 3 people in front of her had blood streaming from their arms, her expression didn't change in the slightest. Alastair and Samuel exchanged a look. both seeing the astonishment in each other's eyes. They hadn't expected Willow to be so cold. Iris's tears fell uncontrollably, her eyes swollen from crying. I'm sorry. Alastair gently wiped her tears. Be good, don't cry, it's not your fault, we're still here. That's right. The Templetons aren't sponsoring you anymore, but we're still here. Don't worry about tuition fees. As for the rest, you don't need to worry either. We'll find a way to get you acquitted, Samuel added comfortingly. Hearing this, Willow closed her eyes, a sarcastic smile tugging at her lips. She knew, of course, that if they wanted to, they could naturally protect Iris. So why were they begging for her forgiveness? Were they deliberately putting on a lovey-dovey show in front of her? She stayed in the hospital for a long time. Alastair and Samuel came to see her almost every day. She refused to see them every time. Helpless, Alastair and Samuel could only leave the gifts they bought to cheer her up and her favorite snacks at her door each day. They hoped that when someone went in, they could take them in. But each time, Willow gave them to the nurse on duty. Chapter 8, on the day of her discharge, Alastair and Samuel came to pick her up. Willow, your Uncle Walter and Aunt Mary are away on business. We're here to get you. Willow didn't even look at them and turned to leave in another direction. Alastair's expression darkened, and he grabbed her hand. Willow, because you were unhappy, we haven't seen Iris recently. It's understandable if you don't like her, but why has your relationship with us become so distant too? Hearing this, Willow couldn't help but find it laughable. Was she deliberately being distant? Weren't they the ones who had pushed her away, step by step, forcibly severing ties with her? She just chuckled a few times without answering. Samuel drove his car over, blocking the exit. Willow, if you don't get in the car, we'll keep blocking this exit. I guarantee no car on this road will be able to pass. As if to prove his words, cars not far away soon honked their horns in protest. Then a second, a third, and more. Samuel opened the car door. Sorry, I'm just trying to placate a girl. As soon as she forgives me, I'll move the car immediately. Willow didn't want to disrupt traffic, so she had no choice but to get in the car. And as soon as she got in, the two of them started fawning over her excessively. Willow, look, this is your favorite cake from that bakery. Haven't you always wanted to eat it? I waited in line for so long. Samuel, like a puppy seeking praise, held up a strawberry cake, his eyes sparkling. No, thank you. I don't like it anymore. It's too rich, she refused coldly. Alastair then pushed an exquisitely packaged box of ointment in front of Willow. It's okay, if you don't like it, you don't like it. This is an ointment I bought from a renowned medical professor abroad. It will help your wound recover. She pushed the ointment back. No need, the hospital prescribed medication, I don't need this. No matter how attentive the two of them were, Willow refused everything. Suddenly, she felt something tucked into the crevice of the seat. She pulled it out. It was a small note with delicate handwriting, Princess Iris's co-pilot. Willow couldn't help but let out a sneer. Samuel quickly snatched the note and tore it to shreds. Willow, don't misunderstand, this was from last time when I lost a game. His hurried actions seemed to betray a fear that she would misunderstand. Willow, however, chuckled lightly, completely unconcerned. It has nothing to do with me. She closed her eyes, uninterested, ignoring their reactions. Samuel's face changed instantly. How can it have nothing to do with you? Have you forgotten what you promised us? You said you'd make a choice on the first day of school. Alastair's cool eyes flickered, and he couldn't help but ask, Have you? Have you made your choice? Willow glanced at them. Perhaps it would be more appropriate for you to ask Iris that question. Why ask Iris? We don't feel that way about her. Willow, are you misunderstanding something? Their expressions changed abruptly, and they both rushed to explain, but Willow didn't want to hear any more. She closed her eyes, resting her head against the car window, turning a deaf ear. Alastair and Samuel didn't dare to speak further and disturb her. They just exchanged a look, feeling that Willow seemed to have changed a lot. She had become increasingly indifferent to them. This wasn't their intention. They wanted to explain, but for a moment, they didn't know where to start. So, they could only console themselves that things would be fine on the first day of school. As soon as Willow got home, she received a call from Miss Lawson. Willow, you did very well this time. You're the city's top scholar. The school would like to invite you back to give a speech to the younger students and share your study experiences. Willow hesitated for a moment. If she gave the speech, then the fact that she had changed her university choice would be revealed. but she only hesitated for a few seconds before agreeing. They would find out about her changed application sooner or later. She had only kept it hidden to avoid trouble, but it was a done deal now. Their freaking out wouldn't change anything. She couldn't be timid and afraid just because she feared their discovery. More importantly, she wanted to share some study experiences with the younger students. With this in mind, she spent 3 days fully preparing for the speech. However, just as she was about to go on stage, Alastair and Samuel blocked her path. Samuel spoke somewhat awkwardly. "Willow, you don't need to go on stage this time. How about we go out for a bite to eat instead? Or if there's anywhere you want to go, we can take you." Willow looked at him, noticing his slightly nervous expression and the way his eyes darted to the corner several times. She asked, "What do you mean?" Alastair remained silent for a few seconds before taking over. "Iris really wants to practice her public speaking skills, so I had my father intervene and give this speaking opportunity to her." Patrick Preston had invested in several buildings for the school. Changing a speaker was a trivial matter, just a word from him. At that moment, Iris's clear voice came from the stage. Willow followed the sound and looked up, seeing Iris indeed on the stage. Looking at the stunned Willow, Alastair and Samuel couldn't help but feel anxious. They waited for her to get angry, to lash out. However, after a long wait, she remained cold-faced, showing no reaction of anger. All the various countermeasures they had prepared were now useless. Willow just smiled faintly, said nothing, and turned to leave. "What a pity, Alastair Preston, Samuel Knightley. You missed your last chance to learn the truth." Chapter 9. On the first day of school, Walter and Mary Templeton made a special trip back. "Willow, is all your luggage packed? Northwood University is so far from Kingsford. Over 3,000 kilometers, you absolutely must bring everything you need," Mary Templeton fretted, repeatedly checking the number of bags. Walter Templeton also said caringly, "Dad will take you to the airport. I'm worried about you traveling so far alone." "No need," Willow smiled and shook her head. "I'm grown up now. Mom and Dad, you're busy with work, don't worry about me." Even though she said this, Mary Templeton was still a little uneasy. She wiped her eyes, her voice tinged with tears. "How can we be at ease with you going so far away by yourself? Bridgewater is right here in the city, yet you insist on going so far." Willow smiled and hugged her mother. "Mom, you're crying like this just because I'm going to university. What if I get married in the future? Wouldn't you cry yourself unconscious?" Mary Templeton then remembered something and quickly took a piece of paper from her bag. It had a phone number written on it. "Willow, actually, the family arranged a betrothal for you when you were little. But Alastair and Samuel have been stuck to you since childhood, and we always thought you'd marry one of them, so we never mentioned it. Looking at it now, they're not suitable for you. That young man is also studying at Northwood, the same university as you. Although childhood betrothals aren't really a thing anymore, if you two get along, then great. If not, and you need help with anything, at least you'll have someone to look out for you." Saying this, Mary Templeton placed the piece of paper in Willow's palm. Just as she was about to refuse, Alastair and Samuel suddenly walked in. "Uncle Walter, Aunt Mary, don't worry, we'll take good care of Willow." Everyone present knew the two had misunderstood, thinking they were being talked about, but everyone remained silent, no one revealing the truth. Willow calmly put the piece of paper into her pocket and said, "Mom, don't worry, I understand." Mary Templeton wiped her tears and nodded. Walter Templeton couldn't help but get teary-eyed as well. Alastair and Samuel exchanged a look, not understanding why they were crying so much. "Uncle, Auntie, Bridgewater is right here in the city. Even though Willow will be in a dorm, she can still come home on weekends. If she gets homesick, we can bring her back every day." Walter and Mary Templeton sighed but said nothing. Alastair and Samuel didn't notice anything amiss and quickly went to Willow's room to diligently help her carry her suitcases. But upon entering, both were shocked. Alastair said with some surprise, "Isn't it just in the city? You can come home anytime. Why bring so many clothes?" "I'm a girl, it's normal to have a lot of clothes," Willow replied perfunctorily. Samuel chimed in, Right, buy as many as you want. After we're done with the registration, I'll take you to buy some more." Alastair didn't speak again. Instead, he casually picked up a suitcase, his usually cool face now showing a hint of imperceptible nervousness. "Willow, take my car." After a moment's hesitation, he stammered, I've prepared a surprise for you at school." Samuel quickly snatched the suitcase from his hand. Better take my car, I've prepared a surprise too. The two pulled Willow from left and right, vying for her attention. Suddenly, someone's phone rang. Alistair, Sam, I was in a car accident on the way to school, woo woo woo. It was Iris. Alistair and Samuel's expressions changed dramatically. They asked anxiously, "How are you? What happened? Are you injured?" Iris's sobbing voice came from the other end. I'm fine, just scared." Alistair made a quick decision. "Don't move, wait there for me, I'll come find you right away." Samuel also comforted her. "Don't be afraid, I'm here. I'll come find you." After hanging up, they remembered Willow standing beside them. Before they could speak, she interrupted their unspoken words. "You don't need to take me. I'll go to school by myself." Alistair hesitated, wanting to say something, but in the end, only managed. "Then when you get to school, remember to call me." Samuel also stammered. "Willow, you said you'd choose one of us on the first day of school. Don't forget." Willow looked at them coldly, neither nodding nor answering. Both felt something was off, but Samuel's phone rang again. On the other end, Iris was crying pitifully, saying she was scared and her leg hurt. The two had no choice but to leave. Before going, they didn't forget to move Willow's luggage into the Templeton family driver's car. Alistair and Samuel kept looking back, repeatedly reminding her to contact them. However, Willow remained silent. Finally, the two got into their respective cars, and she got into hers. As soon as she sat down, Willow's phone vibrated slightly. She opened it to find a message from Iris. "Willow Templeton, do you see now? With just one call from me, they'll still abandon you, even if you become their girlfriend. If you continue to sponsor me, I'll consider letting you have one of them." Reading this, Willow sneered. Her fingers typed a few words. "No need. I don't want either of them, they're all yours." After sending it, she decisively blocked Iris, then Alistair, then Samuel. Finally, she snapped her SIM card in half, threw it away, and took out a new one from her bag. The first number she entered was the one her mother had just given her for her childhood betrothal. The driver stepped on the gas, and the car headed towards the airport, in the opposite direction from the other two. She smiled faintly at the passing scenery. This time, she would truly begin a new life. Chapter 10, the moment the plane took off, Willow thought to herself, "The past is over. I'm going to start a brand new life." And in this part of her life, Alistair Preston and Samuel Knightley would have no part. As her plane ascended, Alistair and Samuel, bouquets in hand, stood at the gates of Bridgewater University, their faces growing darker by the minute. The Templeton family car was nowhere in sight, and a growing sense of unease settled in their hearts. For some reason, both felt a nagging disquiet. This feeling gradually intensified, and a thought took root. Willow didn't want to accept their confessions perhaps, she had just taken a different route onto campus. They hardly dared to imagine another, less likely possibility. The countless flowers arranged behind them attracted the gazes of many students. Some troublemakers even took photos and posted them on the school's online forum. "Wow, these handsome freshmen are making such a huge scene on the first day, who are they confessing to? I'm dying, who's so lucky." You know, they really do have different styles. One is cool and aloof, the other is passionate and unrestrained. Could they be confessing to the same girl? Are they still at the school gate? I'm going to check it out. Countless people saw the forum post and rushed over to spectate. The crowd around them grew larger, and onlookers whispered amongst themselves, all seemingly curious to know who could be so fortunate as to receive confessions from two such exceptionally handsome guys. Alistair had tried calling Willow's phone countless times, but she never answered. Samuel's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. "She blocked me, I can't reach her at all." He gripped his phone so tightly, it seemed he might crush it. It was evident from Alistair's chilling gaze that he shared the same frustration. Same here. They had never encountered anything like this before. Willow would never just cut off contact with them like this. Something must have happened to her. The flowers, diamond rings, and various other gifts they had prepared in advance were carelessly tossed aside. Alistair sprinted home recklessly, while Samuel frantically searched for Willow on campus. The Templeton family's door was knocked on again. This time, it took a long while before someone opened it. It wasn't Willow, it was the family maid. "Young Master Preston, may I help you?" Seeing the maid, Alistair frowned, momentarily speechless. After a brief silence, he finally asked, "Is Willow still at home?" As he spoke, his eyes darted inside. There were no signs of Willow's luggage or her presence in the house. The maid was bewildered. "Young Master Preston, Miss Willow left with you this morning. Why would she still be at home now?" Alastair hummed softly, then continued, "Are Uncle and Aunt Templeton still at home? I have some questions for them." "Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Templeton left for a business trip after you all went out. They're not at home. You could try calling them." The maid answered honestly and then slowly closed the door. Alastair's eyes were dark, his fingers clenched into fists. If only their phones were reachable, he muttered to himself, an inexplicable sense of desolation washing over him. Could it be that Willow truly didn't want to accept their confessions and was deliberately avoiding them? They had dealt with the Ira situation and rushed to the school as fast as they could to prepare the surprise. Why were they still a step too late? Just a little more time, and they could have explained everything. Alastair returned to the school, dejected. Chapter 11. Meanwhile, Samuel Knightley wasn't faring any better. He asked everyone he passed if they knew Willow Templeton, but all the students shook their heads. A kind-hearted student offered a suggestion. "Dude, searching like this isn't going to work. If you're looking for someone, go ask at the Student Affairs office or check with the Academic Affairs office. Have them look her up in the system. Wouldn't that be much faster?" Samuel, muddled with anxiety, thanked him profusely. He was being so stupid, using such a clumsy method to find someone. Following the advice, Samuel hurried to the Academic Affairs office and found the teacher in charge of student records. "Miss Lawson, my girlfriend is also a new student here, but I've lost contact with her. I was hoping you could help me check if she's registered." The teacher, Miss Laura Lawson, hesitated for a long time. Only when Samuel offered to donate a library building did she agree with a beaming smile. She searched the system several times but couldn't find anyone named Willow Templeton, not even anyone with a similar name. At this point, Miss Lawson herself became uncertain. "Young man, are you sure your girlfriend's name is Willow Templeton? Are you sure it's spelled correctly?" She pointed to the name on the screen, confirming it repeatedly. Samuel nodded quickly. "Yes, that's right. How could I misremember her name?" Now it was Miss Lawson's turn to feel uneasy. She subconsciously checked the list of newly admitted students. She searched several times, with Samuel looking over her shoulder countless times before concluding. "Young man, the Willow Templeton you're talking about isn't a student at our university. We don't have anyone by that name among this year's admitted students, nor in previous years. The system records don't make mistakes. Did your girlfriend lie to you? If she really did, you should report it to the police immediately, Miss." Lawson said with concern. Hearing these words, Samuel felt as if he had been struck by lightning. Thunder rumbled in his mind. What? What had he just heard? Bridgewater hadn't admitted Willow Templeton? Then, where did she go? With her grades, any university would be fighting to have her. It was absolutely impossible for her to have failed to get in anywhere. What on earth had happened? In an instant, Samuel felt his brain had rusted, unable to think. Just then, Alastair, having received a message, also arrived. His aura was chillingly cold. Few dared to approach him. They all wished they were miles away from him. "What's the situation?" he asked coldly, clearly in a foul mood, pent-up anger simmering within him. Samuel shook his head and relayed everything he had just learned. Alastair's eyes darkened, narrowing slightly. "Where on earth did she go? Does she want to leave us?" This thought involuntarily rose in both their minds. Samuel found it so hard to accept that his eyes reddened slightly. He swayed a little on his tall frame, momentarily unsteady. Alastair was in no better state. On his way to the university, he had considered every possibility. He had even thought that Willow was just jealous and sulking, but he had never imagined she would leave them. For a moment, both of them found this hard to accept. For a fleeting second, they both wondered if they had pushed her too hard, causing her to act this way. But the next moment, a male student's voice interrupted their thoughts. Chapter 12. "Hey, handsome guys, there's a girl at the school gate who picked up your gifts and flowers. She says she knows you. You should go check it out quickly, it's starting to rain outside. It wouldn't be good if she got sick." Hearing this, Alastair and Samuel exchanged a look, surprise and excitement evident in both their eyes. Samuel, momentarily overjoyed, rushed out and sprinted towards the school gate. Alastair walked behind, but his pace quickened considerably. Could it be Willow? This impossible fantasy bloomed in both their hearts. Perhaps she was really just playing a joke on them. It didn't matter if she wasn't at the same university. As long as she was still willing to accept their confessions, this thought occurred to both of them simultaneously. As they drew closer to the school gate, Samuel's heart pounded wildly. Alastair's Adam's apple bobbed nervously several times, until the girl holding 2 bouquets of flowers at the school gate turned around. They both froze. "Why is it you? Iris, what are you doing here? Where's Willow?" Samuel and Alastair spoke one after the other. Iris was drenched by the rain, yet she tried her best to shield the flowers and gifts in her arms with her small body, preventing the rain from soaking them. "Alastair, Sam, you're finally here. I was keeping your gifts safe for you. Why isn't Willow here yet? I've been waiting for so long." Her thin frame was battered by the wind and rain, yet she exuded an air of stubbornness. Unfortunately, neither of them was in the mood to appreciate it. Samuel, disappointed, said perfunctorily, "You don't need to watch over these. You should go back first." "Willow isn't coming," Alastair said despairingly, looking at the scattered, ruined flowers. They had never expected this outcome. Their hearts, once full of anticipation, were now empty, and the feeling was naturally unbearable. They were in no mood to console Iris now. However, she hadn't given up. Holding the gifts, she smiled and tried to cheer them up. "Alastair, Sam, don't lose heart, Willow. Willow just hasn't made up her mind yet. Maybe she'll figure it out after some time. Look, the gifts you prepared are wonderful. Girls like me love them. Willow will definitely like them too." Unfortunately, neither Samuel nor Alastair was paying attention to her words. The same boys who once couldn't bear to see Iris suffer, even a little hurt now, seemed oblivious to her standing in the rain. "She won't like them," Alastair said faintly. They had grown up with her. How could they not understand her? Her actions were a clear rejection. To get away from them, she had changed her university choice and never told them. Wasn't the meaning of this gesture obvious enough? Samuel also looked down, exuding an aura of sadness. Perhaps they had made a wrong move. They had thought that by being nice to Iris, they would make Willow jealous, causing her to compete with Iris and finally decide whose confession to accept. They never expected her to reject both of them. Chapter 13. Alastair's and Samuel's eyes were filled with dejection. Just then, Iris suddenly opened 2 gift boxes and put on a pair of jade bracelets and a jadeite necklace from within. She held their hands, one in each of hers, and said firmly, "Alastair, Sam, Willow doesn't like them, but you still have me. I like them. You are wonderful. It's Willow Templeton who can't see it. Can't you also look at the people around you? I'm not bad either." Iris shouted these words, oblivious to the rain soaking her clothes. In an instant, the entire campus fell silent, including Alastair and Samuel. Samuel tugged at his lips awkwardly, speaking in a joking tone. "Iris, you're not kidding, are you? Stop messing around. Take off the jadeite necklace. It's not for you to wear. Be good." Alastair stared at Iris's hands, his gaze so cold it was as if he wanted to chop them off. "Who allowed you to put on these bracelets? Take them off. Don't make me do it. They are not for you." His cold hand gripped Iris's wrists tightly. Aided by the slickness of the rain, he forcefully removed the newly donned bracelets. Iris almost froze on the spot. How could this be? Tears welled up almost instantly. Iris cried aggrievedly, apologizing repeatedly. "I'm sorry, these don't belong to me, I know. They belong to Willow Templeton. It was my mistake to think you liked me. I was overthinking." Before Samuel could remove the necklace, she took it off herself and placed it in his palm. "I'm sorry, it's all my fault for taking Willow Templeton's things. I thought since she rejected you, I might have a chance. It turns out it was just my wishful thinking." Iris gave a self-deprecating smile, then turned and ran off crying. However, she didn't run far before realizing she hadn't heard any footsteps chasing after her. This time, she truly panicked. She had originally thought Alastair and Samuel were completely under her control, so deeply in love with her they couldn't extricate themselves. Why was it still like this? Even though Willow had abandoned them on the day of their planned confession, why were they still so in love with her? Was she, Iris Holloway, that inferior to Willow Templeton? Iris stood by a secluded lake, lost. It was only her first day at this university. After accidentally taking a wrong turn, she had forgotten how to get back on the right path. Why does even the road have to make things difficult for me? Iris, furious, kicked a large tree nearby. But because the path was slippery from the rain, she accidentally slipped and fell into a split. Her carefully prepared image was now a complete mess. Iris was almost brought to tears by anger. She lay on the ground in pain, grimacing for a long time before barely managing to get up. Why do they all like Willow Templeton so much? Even after all this, why are they still so in love with her? Family background, status, money, loving parents, childhood friends who grew up with her. She has everything. Why can't she just give me a little something? Even if she just gave me Alistair or Samuel, that would be fine. Why does she have to treat me like this? Her resentment grew stronger. She slammed her fist against the tree trunk, her knuckles bleeding, yet she didn't even notice. However, at this moment, Alistair and Samuel were carefully placing the heirlooms back into their boxes. They had never intended to accept Iris. Towards Iris, they only felt pity and more so, used her as a tool to make Willow jealous. Now that Willow wasn't here, there was no need to be so nice to her. Moreover, because of her, Willow had chosen neither of them. Alistair and Samuel exchanged a look, both seeing the dissatisfaction with each other. If they hadn't made that damned agreement back then, perhaps they would have won Willow over long ago. Instead of being like this now, not even knowing where she had gone. Suddenly, Alistair said, "Miss Lawson knows." Hearing this, Samuel instinctively looked up. Miss Lawson was their high school form teacher. She would definitely know which university Willow had gone to. Chapter 14. Alistair and Samuel quickly took out their phones. "Hello, Miss Lawson. This is Alistair Preston. I wanted to ask which university Willow Templeton went to." Miss Lawson on the other end of the line was very surprised. "Huh, you three are together almost every day. Don't you know which university Willow went to?" Alistair fell silent, feeling slightly ashamed. Miss Lawson didn't overthink it and said proudly, "Willow Templeton had the best grades. She went to Northwood University. When our school received the notification, we thought it was a bit strange why she didn't stay in our city and go to Bridgewater with you two. But it was a done deal. You didn't ask us at the time, so we teachers assumed you already knew and had it figured out. Look, the class group chat posted the admission list back then. You'll know if you take a look." Hearing this, Samuel quickly opened the class group chat and searched diligently. Alistair thanked Miss Lawson and hung up. Sure enough, on the admission list, next to Willow Templeton's name, Northwood University was clearly written. In an instant, both of them were stunned. Northwood University, thousands of kilometers away from their home city, across the country. How could she choose to go there? She had clearly filled in Bridgewater according to their agreement. Why did she suddenly change it? Alistair and Samuel saw the confusion in each other's eyes. Could it be that, so long ago, she had already been planning to leave them forever? But why? Did she not feel even a little bit for them? This question, perhaps only Willow Templeton herself could answer. If it were her, she would definitely tell them that perhaps in the past, there certainly was a stirring of feelings, even something that could be called liking. It was just that this liking had been personally destroyed by the two of them. No girl could accept betrayal from those around her, not even from friends. Willow Templeton was already considered quite good-tempered. She had given them countless chances. But she never expected that her two childhood friends, who had always stood firmly by her side, would resolutely choose someone else. After so many times, she had to give up. As soon as she got off the plane, she saw a man holding a sign with her name on it. The man had deep-set, defined features, his most unique characteristic being his sky-blue eyes. He was clearly of mixed heritage, tall with long legs, and his superior V-taper physique attracted many gazes. Willow Templeton. As she approached, she heard him say her name carefully. His deep, magnetic voice let out a soft chuckle, and Willow was momentarily stunned. "I'm Felix Croft, your childhood betrothed." Felix Croft reached out to take the small suitcase from Willow's hand, introducing himself. Then, he called the Croft family driver to help move Willow's remaining luggage into the car. She just dazedly let Felix Croft lead her away. Until she felt the cool climate of Northwood City, she instinctively shivered, and her mind instantly cleared. "I didn't mistake you for someone else, did I? Are you really the childhood betrothed my mother mentioned?" The moment she posed her question, a trench coat was draped over her shoulders, an incredibly thoughtful gesture. "I believe I wouldn't make a mistake." Felix Croft, as if by magic, produced a photograph and placed it in front of Willow. She took it and saw that the person in the photo was herself. The photo was also tinged with a faint scent of cedarwood from him and his warmth. For a moment, Willow smiled somewhat embarrassedly. "Sorry, I shouldn't have doubted you." Chapter 15. It's all right. Let's go to the university. Felix Croft smiled understandingly and continued, "I'm in the financial management program at Northwood School of Business, a year ahead of you. If you need anything, you can find me." Saying this, he showed her a QR code on his phone. "Add me as a friend." Willow nodded quickly and successfully scanned the code with her phone. Felix Croft escorted her to her dormitory building and, together with the driver, moved all her luggage into her room. Before she could even refuse, he had already organized her belongings, including her bed. Only some of Willow's personal clothes were sorted by herself. He took care of almost everything else. He even noticed what things were missing and immediately had someone go buy them. Willow was momentarily overwhelmed by his attentiveness. He was truly a bit too considerate. Watching Felix Croft's busy figure, Willow had the illusion that he was really her boyfriend. But she snapped back to reality in an instant. With the precedent set by Alistair and Samuel, she was reluctant to offer her heart again. The way things were now was fine. "Thank you so much for today, Felix. I'll treat you to a meal later." She thanked him politely. Felix Croft sensed her distance, chuckled softly, and replied, "All right." By the time Willow was sound asleep in her bed, Alistair Preston and Samuel Knightley at Bridgewater University were wide awake. With Willow not at Bridgewater, everything there seemed to have lost its appeal. Alistair, lacking interest, declined all class activities. He even used connections to get out of the upcoming military training. Standing on the balcony, he called Patrick Preston. "Hello, Dad. I want to transfer to Northwood University." The person on the other end of the line was stunned for a long moment, then a barrage of angry shouts came through. "Alistair Preston, are you insane? University isn't high school. You can't just go wherever you want. Don't be naive. I won't agree. You know, with the Preston family's status, every move you make must be extremely cautious. Don't even mention transferring schools unless you drop out and retake the college entrance exams." As soon as the words fell, the line went dead with a beep. Patrick Preston didn't care what he chose. In short, he couldn't use the Preston family's influence for it. If it were within the city or province, it might be manageable, but Northwood University was so far away, and the Preston family's influence wasn't omnipotent. Alistair already knew this would be the result. He felt no disappointment. This call wasn't to ask for an opinion, but to inform. Meanwhile, Samuel Knightley next door was facing a similar situation. Kenneth Knightley verbally thrashed him. "Samuel Knightley, do you think you're a 3-year-old child? Going here today, wanting to go there tomorrow. University is not a joke. With your lackadaisical attitude, getting into Bridgewater was already the result of me burning incense and praying to Buddha. Your mother and I will not agree. I know you want to go to Northwood for Willow, but still, no, isn't she running so far away precisely to leave you? Give up. The Knightley family will not provide you with any help. If you really want to go, then figure it out yourself. Don't come to us." Samuel's eyes were dark, but he remained silent. Which university they attended was all the same to them. Previously, they thought she liked Bridgewater, so they specifically brought her to the Bridgewater campus gate for a photo and agreed to attend university there. They never expected that she would make such a rash decision just to escape them. Chapter 16. Alistair Preston and Samuel Knightley barely slept a wink. The next day, instead of attending the freshman orientation meeting with their classmates, they headed towards the academic affairs office. The academic affairs officer frowned, asking repeatedly, "Isn't Bridgewater good enough? Why do you want to drop out? Do you want to waste all those years of hard work in high school? You need to understand, Bridgewater and Northwood are on par. Going to either is the same. Moreover, this place is better suited for your future development." The officer tried his best to retain these two valuable assets. However, Alistair spoke coolly. "Sir, with my intelligence, getting into any university is a piece of cake. She's not here, so there's no need for me to stay." Samuel followed. "Me neither. It's just the college entrance exam. A little effort is all it takes. I don't want to be separated from her." The academic affairs officer hesitated. At that moment, Iris stood outside the door, having overheard the entire conversation. She had thought that with the three of them now at Bridgewater, and Willow absent, her opportunity had arrived. She never imagined they would actually drop out for Willow. "No, Alistair, Sam, can't you please not drop out? I don't want to be separated from you. Can't you look at me, standing right behind you, please? I'm begging you, can't you please not only see Willow Templeton? I'm clearly no worse than her. And I like you more," Iris shouted resolutely, her small face on the verge of tears. Alistair and Samuel listened, and the expressions of strangeness and disgust in their eyes grew increasingly obvious. The office was deathly silent. After a long while, Alistair was the first to break the silence. "Iris, I remember what you promised us before." As soon as these words were spoken, Iris's heart sank. Samuel, suppressing his anger, dragged her out of the office. Then, a fist came whistling through the air, but it struck the wall beside her. Some plaster crumbled off the wall, falling onto Iris. However, the moment his fist flew towards her, her heart had stopped for an instant. "Iris, we agreed before. You would act with us, make Willow jealous. You promised us you would absolutely not develop inappropriate feelings for us. That's why we chose you," Samuel said sternly, his eyes bloodshot with anger. Alistair's clear, cold voice also came through. "It was you who assured us back then that you would help us pursue Willow. But now, you used us to drive Willow away, and now you want to confess to us. I remember warning you more than once not to develop inappropriate feelings for us. How should we settle this now?" Their words, one by one, practically nailed Iris to a cross, as if she were about to be executed in the next second. She was terrified to the extreme, her lips trembling uncontrollably, unable to utter a complete sentence. During this time, she had been immersed in their kindness towards her and had long forgotten their initial agreement. She remembered when she first met Alistair and Samuel, she had found them breathtaking. Willow had brought her into contact with them time and time again. Iris had personally witnessed their attentiveness and affection for Willow. Gradually, a greedy thought began to grow within her. She thought if they looked at her with such adoring eyes and were good to her, wouldn't she be the happiest person in the world? And at that time, how wretched would Willow be? Just thinking about it excited Iris. She dreamed of replacing Willow, becoming Willow, and seeing Willow in a state of despair. So she made a bold decision. Chapter 17, Iris approached Alistair Preston and Samuel Knightley to propose a collaboration. The deal was that they would pretend to be nice to her to make Willow Templeton jealous, and in return, she would help them pursue Willow. To convince them that this method was effective, she deliberately threw away the love letters they had prepared for Willow and forged new ones in her own handwriting, addressed to herself. Iris still clearly remembered Willow's shocked and bewildered expression when she found those two love letters signed with Alistair's and Samuel's names. Sure enough, Willow confronted them with the love letters, and just as they had hoped, Willow became jealous. After that, they believed her and decided to confess everything to Willow and explain the situation on the first day of school at Bridgewater. But none of them had expected that Willow had already extinguished any inappropriate thoughts and changed her university application. Iris recalled everything that had happened recently and laughed maniacally. Ha, ha, ha. If Alistair and Samuel hadn't intervened, she might have remained lost in the beautiful dream she had woven for herself. Their cold, heartless gazes made it seem as if their kindness towards her during this period had never existed. Iris subconsciously reached out, wanting to touch their eyes, but Samuel unhesitatingly slapped her hand away. "You tricked us, and what's more, you drove Willow away." His tone carried a subtle, dangerous undercurrent. Before, they hadn't thought of dealing with Iris, but since she insisted on recklessly provoking them, they couldn't be blamed for what happened next. Alistair's tone was ice cold. "If it weren't for you, Willow would never have left us. Aren't you most concerned about your future? We will revoke your sponsorship, and also, for all the times you bullied Willow before, you will pay it all back." As soon as these words were spoken, Iris's laughter turned into tears. Alistair Preston, Samuel Knightley, stop deceiving yourselves. During this time, you had countless opportunities to win Willow Templeton back, but you didn't take them. You were the ones who pushed her away. I told you, she doesn't love you at all. The person who loves you most is me. It's me, she shrieked hysterically, trying to elicit their pity. However, Alistair's and Samuel's eyes held only cold indifference. "Enough, Willow must still have feelings for us. Stop lying." Samuel, whether out of confidence or panic, quickly interjected. Afterward, the two of them left Iris there and unhesitatingly went to process their withdrawal from the university. Iris collapsed onto the ground, her heart filled with immense panic. Just revoking her sponsorship was enough to drive her to desperation. She had grown accustomed to a life of comfort and wealth. It was impossible for her to fall back into poverty. Without money, even surviving would be difficult. Iris was instantly filled with regret. She quickly got up, took the bank cards Alastair and Samuel had given her, and rushed to the bank. "I want to withdraw cash as much as possible." She frantically entered the pins, her fingers trembling several times before she successfully entered them completely. At this moment, perhaps only a large amount of cash could soothe her uneasy heart. However, the ATM malfunctioned, displaying "Your bank card has been frozen." She tried both cards. Both showed the same message. Chapter 18. Iris completely panicked. How could this be? She quickly switched to another machine, trying to reassure herself. Yes, it must be a machine malfunction. It can't be this fast. No matter how many machines she tried, the displayed message was the same. "Impossible, impossible," Iris muttered frantically, slamming the bank cards on the counter in front of a bank teller and roaring. "Give me cash, as much as you have," the teller checked repeatedly, then frowned and said patiently, "I'm sorry, both of your bank cards have been frozen. You cannot withdraw any money." Hearing this, Iris instantly lost all strength, slumping to the ground like a pile of mud. "It's over. Everything is over." She carelessly tossed the two bank cards onto the floor, her entire being on the verge of a desperate collapse. She didn't even know how she made her way back. As she was walking, a mischievous child, holding a firework, was gleefully laughing and roughhousing with a friend. Not looking where he was going, he accidentally bumped into Iris's calf. "Get lost, don't touch me." She kicked the child away and he immediately burst into tears. Seeing the firework in his hand, the child's eyes hardened. He lit it and threw it at Iris's back. With a bang, the firework exploded. Iris's clothes caught fire from the sparks, and a patch of her hair was singed. "Ah, help, save me!" Iris writhed on the ground in pain. Unfortunately, there were no surveillance cameras here, and few people frequented the area. The two children who had been playing were nowhere to be found. A red light blinked in a hidden spot, and then a bodyguard in black reported in a low voice, "Mr. Templeton, it's done. I guarantee Iris Holloway won't have an easy time." Walter Templeton stood by the French window, gazing at the river, and lightly hummed in acknowledgement. Iris struggled for a long time and finally managed to extinguish the fire on her back. Then, she limped towards the hospital. Even without looking, the searing pain from the large burn on her back made her break out in a cold sweat. Iris's face was ashen. After taking just a few steps, she fainted, falling face down. Her pretty, delicate face was scraped, and her nose was slightly fractured. After being taken to the hospital by a kind passerby, Iris woke up again, her body racked with tearing pain. However, when the nurse saw she was awake, she urged her to find someone to pay the fees. "Miss Holloway, none of the contacts in your phone are reachable. The surgery and hospitalization fees need to be paid promptly. Otherwise, subsequent surgeries may not be possible, and you won't be able to continue staying in the hospital for treatment." Iris's tears fell like large beads from the pain. She called Alastair and Samuel one by one. She begged them to help her just one more time. Her family was completely unreliable. It was good enough if they didn't ask her for money. How could they possibly pay her medical expenses? However, after calling Alastair and Samuel countless times, someone finally answered. "What is it?" Alastair's cold voice came through, yet it sounded like a lifeline. "Alastair, I beg you, please save me. I was injured by a child with fireworks, and now I'm in the hospital with no money for surgery. Please, just help me one more time." I was wrong about what happened before, but I couldn't have predicted Willow's feelings, could I? You two tried it before too, wasn't it effective? "Please, I'm begging you." Iris repeated her pleas countless times, her voice hoarse. Chapter 19. Alastair, on the other end of the line, finally spoke after a long pause. "Speaking of which, I seem to have forgotten that you did so many outrageous things to Willow before. Our methods were still too lenient, which is why you're still dreaming of begging me now." Samuel, beside him, added fiercely, "For hurting Willow, you should pay back 1,000-fold. Beep, beep, beep." The call disconnected. The last shred of hope in Iris's eyes vanished. She didn't want to become hideous, so she used all her savings from the past year for the surgery. However, due to financial constraints, even after the surgery, she still couldn't return to her original appearance. Of course, these were all later developments. After Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley dropped out of university, they immediately enrolled in a cram school to retake their exams. For a time, rumors about the two of them spread throughout the entire Bridgewater University campus. Almost everyone discussed how foolish they were, confessing on the first day of school only to find out their target wasn't even at that university. Some insiders even leaked Iris's story. Countless people talked about Iris with a certain degree of disdain, though she, lying in a hospital bed, was unaware. Alastair considered himself quite intelligent. Even without attending cram school, he believed he could get into Northwood University the following year. Retaking the year was merely a formality. Even though Samuel's grades weren't as good as Alastair's, he wasn't worried either. If he couldn't beat Alastair, he could always hire private tutors. Thus, the two of them rushed to Northwood City without delay. Northwood University. Willow Templeton's roommates here were all nice, and everything on campus was so wonderful it almost made her forget Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley. After the military training ended, her phone buzzed. A roommate teased playfully, "Is it that handsome senior asking you out for dinner again? Honestly, when are you two getting together? Can we get a treat from you guys?" Yeah, a lot of people are shipping you two. The three of us are even betting on how long it'll take for Senior Felix to win you over. I can't lose this bet, the girls chattered noisily, one after another, making Willow blush. All right, I haven't made up my mind yet. Besides, he hasn't officially confessed. I'm just grateful for his help during this time. After fending off her roommates, Willow changed into a sky blue dress and stood downstairs by the dormitory, peering around but not seeing Felix Croft. Just as she was wondering, her military training instructor, Sergeant Miles, appeared before her, holding a bouquet of red roses. Willow Templeton, I have strong feelings for you. May I ask if I can be with you?" The dark-skinned instructor stammered out the words he had hidden in his heart for a long time, his handsome face clearly showing nervousness. Behind him, many students gathered, jeering and shouting, "Say yes, say yes." However, Willow's expression grew increasingly unsightly. She didn't know when she had given him the wrong impression. Not to mention, during this period of military training, the instructor had been particularly strict with her. If this was his idea of favoritism, then she didn't need it at all. She refused firmly. "I'm sorry, I don't like you, and I can't be with you." The instructor's face instantly turned very ugly. His lips moved a few times, wanting to say something more. Just then, Felix Croft appeared behind Willow, his warm palm resting politely on her shoulder. "Willow has already refused you. Shouldn't you be leaving?" Seeing Felix Croft appear, Sergeant Miles's face instantly turned ashen, and he left dejectedly. The crowd also dispersed. Seeing this, Willow was a little surprised. "They seem to be very afraid of you?" Felix Croft chuckled softly, his eyes narrowing slightly, resembling a nobleman from a bygone era. "Of course. After all, I could be considered their teacher. Naturally, they're afraid." Hearing this, Willow's confusion grew. "Teacher, aren't you just 1 year older than me?" Chapter 20. In the latter half of last year, I had already completed all my undergraduate studies and entered postgraduate studies ahead of schedule. In the first half of this year, I was exceptionally appointed as a teaching assistant to my supervising professor, and I taught some courses to students. Perhaps because of this, they are so afraid of me. Felix Croft omitted some facts, but they were insignificant. In reality, having received an elite education since childhood, he had already self-studied and completed many university courses. Now, he was merely going through some of life's necessary journeys. After all, completing all challenges too early would be far too boring. He just hadn't expected a small surprise in his life. It was only after meeting Willow Templeton that he found her somewhat interesting. Hearing him say this, Willow's jaw almost dropped. In many people's lives, his resume would be considered a string of brilliant achievements, yet he mentioned it so casually, as if it were nothing. "You're so capable, they probably just respect you." She found an excuse for what had just happened. Felix Croft smiled faintly but didn't explain. Shortly after he enrolled last year, Many admirers had confessed to him, all of whom he had ruthlessly rejected and coldly rebuffed. Many were reduced to tears, and as this rumor spread, naturally, many people became afraid of him. As he was leading Willow to a private dining restaurant, they unexpectedly encountered two people he didn't want to see. "Who is he? Who is he?" Alastair, Preston, and Samuel nightly asked simultaneously. A sense of vigilance rose in both their eyes at the same time. No one had ever made them feel so threatened, not even each other. Previously, they had always believed Willow Templeton would choose one of them. They never expected Willow to choose neither, but someone else entirely. Alastair's gaze was chillingly cold as he met Felix Croft's eyes without flinching. Samuel, like a greedy wild dog, kept his eyes fixed on Willow, not looking away for a moment. They were waiting for her answer. Willow's heart skipped a beat. She had never expected to see them in Northwood City. "What are you two doing here? Who he is seems to have nothing to do with you, right? Right now, shouldn't you be accompanying Iris Holloway?" She retorted coldly, a hint of inquiry in her eyes. Almost instinctively, she thought the two of them were about to blame her again for Iris. At that moment, Felix Croft comfortingly squeezed her hand, giving her warmth and strength. At the mention of Iris, Alastair and Samuel's expressions instantly became somewhat unnatural. Alastair coughed lightly and produced a recent photo of Iris lying in a hospital bed. "We're not with her. She has received the punishment she deserved. I can explain what happened before." Chapter 21 in the photo, Iris was bandaged in many places, and some exposed wounds were shocking to see. Willow, however, was indifferent. "So, are you planning to seek forgiveness for her? That doesn't seem necessary." She didn't feel there was anything left to explain, so she tugged at Felix Croft's hand, signaling that they could leave. Just then, Samuel Knightley tightly gripped her other hand and quickly explained, "We're not here to ask for forgiveness for Iris. What she's going through now, she deserves it. We were deceived by her before, that's why we were so cold to you and nice to her." Samuel and Alastair took turns supplementing each other's explanations of everything that had happened during this period. Because they were afraid that if they didn't explain soon, they might truly lose Willow. Two pairs of distinctly different eyes held the same sincerity. However, Willow felt not a shred of emotion, only finding it utterly ridiculous. Were they joking, or trying to deceive her? She couldn't help but sneer. "Is this your explanation? It's far too laughable. Even if everything you're saying is true, the harm I suffered was real. I don't want to forgive you, and it's impossible for me to forgive you." Willow had grown up with them. She naturally knew they were telling the truth. But precisely because of this, it made her feel that their love for her was truly disgusting. The past they shared, which she once cherished immensely, was now completely rotten. They claimed to love her, yet they had done nothing but hurt her this past year. Her heart was made of flesh and blood. She couldn't be hurt repeatedly and still love them unreservedly. Therefore, she had completely let go. But now, they were telling her that they hurt her because they loved her. How ridiculous. Willow laughed and laughed, wiping away the tears that welled up at the corners of her eyes. She felt sorrow for her past sincerity. Felix Croft comfortingly pulled her into his embrace, gently patting her shoulder. Alastair, Preston, Samuel Knightley, mature people who love someone would never treat their beloved with harm. If you truly liked Willow, you wouldn't have hurt her like that. Also, allow me to introduce myself. I am Willow's fiancé. As soon as these words were spoken, Alastair and Samuel froze on the spot. They could hardly believe what they had heard. The emotion in Alastair's eyes shattered. He gritted his teeth and squeezed out a sentence. "Willow, you tell me if this is true or false. As long as you say it's false, I'll believe you." Willow also looked at Felix Croft with some surprise. He gave her a reassuring look, and Willow immediately understood, leaning into his embrace and naturally intertwining her fingers with his. "Isn't it obvious enough how we are? My parents arranged our betrothal long ago. Now, he is my fiancé." Seeing the impenetrable atmosphere between them, Samuel's eyes turned red with anger. "Let go, Willow, be good. A childhood betrothal can't be taken seriously. We love you very much. Don't deliberately find someone to make us angry." Saying that, he reached out to try and separate their hands. "This joke isn't funny at all. We did something wrong, punish us however you want, but just don't do this. We can't live without you." Alastair also approached, his face grim. Willow's expression changed slightly. She instinctively said to Felix, You should go first. I'm afraid they might get violent. The two of us might not be able to handle them." Chapter 22, seeing the wary look in Willow's eyes, Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley both felt a sense of defeat. Were they really the kind of people in her eyes who would resort to violence so easily? Felix Croft stood in front of Willow. He simply made a phone call, and within a minute, several bodyguards appeared, twisting Alastair's and Samuel's arms behind them, preparing to take them away. "Don't worry, Willow, everything will be fine." Alastair struggled and rushed to Willow, grabbing her hand. "Come with me, leave this place, let's go home. We dropped out of university for you. If you like Northwood, we can get in here for you, but you can't be with him." His voice was extremely cold, carrying an air of irrefutable authority. Samuel also tried to rush over but was held back by the bodyguards, unable to move. His eyes were fixed intently on Willow, as if she were the only thing in his life. But she knew that wasn't the case. She didn't need their kind of love. "Let go. I won't go with you. Your dropping out has nothing to do with me. It was your own choice. I don't like you anymore, haven't for a long time. Don't you understand yet?" The blunt rejection thoroughly broke the hearts of the two men. The resistance in Willow's eyes was starkly evident. Felix Croft's azure eyes deepened, and he forcibly pried Alastair's fingers open, one by one. Then, the bodyguards quickly moved in and restrained Alastair. "Willow doesn't want to go with you, so don't force her." Right in front of Alastair and Samuel, Felix Croft took Willow's hand and walked into the private dining restaurant. "Are you okay?" His gentle voice soothed all the panic in Willow's heart. She shook her head. "I'm fine now, thank you for your help." The two sat at the dining table, eating quietly. Their tastes were very similar. All the dishes on the table were to their liking. Felix Croft frequently paid attention to Willow's preferences, picking up food for her and refilling her tea. Seeing the slight upward curve of her lips, Felix Croft also gave a minuscule smile, then discreetly glanced towards a hidden corner. "Willow, there's a little something on the corner of your lip. Let me help you." His slightly rough fingertip brushed against Willow's soft cheek, leaving an indelible sensation. She froze instinctively, taking a moment to react. "It's gone." Felix Croft chuckled softly and continued eating. However, in the corner, Alastair and Samuel, their mouths tightly sealed with tape, were so agitated their eyes turned red and bloodshot. How could he do that? The ropes binding Samuel tightened, almost leaving marks on his body, yet he seemed oblivious, his eyes solely fixed on Willow. Alastair was no better, extremely anxious, still trying to find a way to escape. They had to get Willow back from their perspective. Through the partially obscured screen, it looked like they had just been kissing. Felix Croft initiated it. Willow would never be the proactive one. She didn't like him. Both of them repeated this self-deception in their minds. After struggling for a long time, just as they were about to escape, they were once again tied up by the bodyguards. On the other side of the screen, the two were conversing happily, with occasional intimate gestures. Their atmosphere so harmonious it was as if they had been in love for a long time. However, here, Alastair and Samuel looked at each other's faces with nothing but annoyance. Gazing at each other's disheveled state, they only hated their own powerlessness. Chapter 23, Northwood City was the Croft family's territory. The Preston and Knightley families were unwilling to provide assistance. At this moment, Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley were no different from ordinary university students. As long as Willow Templeton was unwilling to leave, they couldn't even forcibly take her away. They hated their own incompetence. Yet they also realized with stark clarity the gap between themselves and Felix Croft. Previously, they had prided themselves on being geniuses, thus looking down on everything. Even towards Willow, they had always been extremely confident. They never thought she would one day escape their control. But Willow's actions had completely shattered all their confidence. She had already disengaged from this tangled relationship, leaving only them struggling in place. Alastair and Samuel exchanged a look, seeing the unwillingness in each other's eyes. After an unknown amount of time, only when Willow had finished her meal were they escorted back to Kingsford by the bodyguards. The two were unceremoniously dumped at their respective doorsteps. Before leaving, the bodyguards left a final word. "Mr. Croft advises you not to disturb Miss Templeton again, or you will face the consequences." Alastair silently picked himself up, completely disregarding the warning. Not entangling themselves was simply impossible. As for Samuel, he had just been sent home when Kenneth Knightley locked him up. Blow after blow of family discipline rained down on him. His strong back was instantly lacerated, a bloody mess, yet he seemed to feel nothing. "Dad, I won't let go of Willow. Didn't you support me liking her before? Why can't you continue to support me now?" Kenneth Knightley slapped Samuel across the face, roaring, "You know that was before. How have you treated Willow this past year? Have you forgotten? Do you know how many times your mother and I have gone to the Templeton family to apologize? It's bad enough you wronged Willow, and it's bad enough you got entangled with Iris. But why turn back after doing so much? You've thrown away all the Knightley family's dignity, it seems your mother, and I have spoiled you too much. From today onwards, you will study diligently at home and are forbidden to go out." Kenneth Knightley's chest heaved with anger. Catherine Knightley quickly tried to soothe his back. Samuel, however, remained stubbornly unyielding. "Dad, Mom, I wronged Willow before. I can bear the consequences myself, and I will earn her forgiveness, but I will absolutely not give up on her." He knelt stubbornly before the ancestral shrine, enduring the blows of the family discipline. Kenneth Knightley, furious, slammed the door and left. "If he refuses to give up, don't give him anything to eat or drink." Samuel knelt in the ancestral hall. After an unknown amount of time, just as he was about to faint, a brick in the corner of the wall loosened. He immediately perked up, gritted his teeth, got up, and pulled out the brick. "Coming?" The person on the other side of the brick was Alastair Preston. Samuel nodded firmly and, with Alastair's help, escaped from the ancestral hall. The Preston house was empty, but many things were piled on the floor. Every item carried memories of the three of them from the past. There were building blocks they played with as children, diaries filled with their innermost thoughts, and, "Willow has always been soft-hearted. She will definitely forgive us. We just used the wrong method. She will definitely forgive us." Alastair found these items, a hint of madness in his eyes. Chapter 24, Samuel looked on, remaining silent for a long time before finally saying with difficulty, "Let's team up." If it were before, the two, standing on opposing sides, would never have uttered such words. They were too busy competing. How could they possibly cooperate? But now, facing the same enemy, Felix Croft, only by cooperating did they have a chance to win Willow Templeton back. Alastair glanced at Samuel and gave a firm. In just 3 days, they sorted through all their past memories. Looking at the several boxes filled to the brim with items, they suddenly froze. For some reason, an immense panic filled their hearts. Instinctively, they remembered the toy veils and dolls Willow had thrown into the trash that day. Was it really because they were moldy? All of theirs were still well preserved. How could hers possibly have gotten moldy? Everything that had happened in the short 2 months before school started replayed repeatedly in their minds. Although a vague answer had already formed in their hearts, they subconsciously avoided it, unwilling to admit it. The three of them had grown up together. This bond was unbreakable. She wouldn't completely let go of them. Alastair and Samuel both consoled themselves with this thought. Not long after returning to Kingsford, they secretly made their way to Northwood City again. In the library, there was a small private room exclusively for Felix Croft. He and Willow sat facing each other, studying independently, occasionally exchanging a few words. After recognizing Felix's extraordinary abilities, Willow came to study with him almost every day. The knowledge not covered in textbooks and that teachers couldn't fully impart, the erudite Felix was an excellent resource for. Willow wished she could be by his side every moment, learning from him. The atmosphere between them wasn't like the rumored romantic relationship, but more like that of a master and disciple. Felix, too, was encountering someone who could keep up with his train of thought for the first time and naturally taught her everything he knew. However, this scene, when witnessed by Alastair and Samuel, nearly drove them mad with jealousy. They had constructed a giant building block castle made of flowers. The castle was transported outside the library. Inside, countless gift boxes contained mementos of their years together. Innumerable candles twinkled like stars, making the entire castle look even more dreamlike. Alastair and Samuel were both meticulously dressed, wearing suits of distinctly different styles, yet equally eye-catching. They held bouquets of flowers, waiting nervously. However, after a long wait, several students had gone up to call Willow, but she never came down. At this point, Samuel could wait no longer and shouted loudly towards the upper floor. "Willow Templeton, I, Samuel Knightley, am here to fulfill my previous promise. You didn't hear my confession last time. You can't miss it again." Many students were attracted by the commotion and craned their necks to look. Alastair then spoke. "Willow, you promised me before that you would choose one of us to be with. Now is the time to choose." Upstairs, the protagonist, Willow Templeton, felt not a shred of emotion upon seeing this scene. She directly called the police, citing a fire hazard and public disturbance. Felix Croft also helped find the school's administrative staff and conveniently called for a water sprinkler truck. "Do you remember the truth or dare game at the class reunion? I said that on the first day of school, I would throw away 2 things. That was you too. No matter how many times we redo this, I won't choose either of you." Willow came downstairs, stood opposite Alastair and Samuel, and said coldly. As soon as her voice fell, the sprinkler truck arrived, and a stream of water gushed out, instantly extinguishing all the candles. Alastair and Samuel were also drenched like drowned rats. Chapter 25, Felix Croft, with quick reflexes, pulled Willow Templeton into his arms, shielding her from all the water. The beautiful and dreamlike confession scene instantly turned into a chaotic mess. The flowers, washed by the water, lost countless petals. The gift boxes were soaked, including some of the items inside, which were dripping wet. A meticulously prepared confession ended in disarray. Alastair's hair, plastered to his forehead, was still dripping water. His stern face was extremely embarrassed. His pale, thin lips moved slightly, his voice barely a whisper. "Willow, I'm sorry. We were wrong about what happened before, but can you give me another chance? I've liked you for many, many years. Look, these things are proof of my love for you. Don't be so cruel, I beg you." Saying this, he knelt on one knee and took out the familiar heirloom box. "This pair of jade bracelets can only be yours. If you don't want them, I'd rather smash them." The pair of emerald green bracelets was elegant and opulent, but Willow felt no stirring in her heart. Samuel, beside him, also quickly spoke. "Willow, I'm not asking you to choose between us anymore. As long as you leave Felix Croft, we are willing to love you together. You don't have to struggle. We are both yours." Samuel's dark eyes were filled with an unquenchable obsession. He then similarly took out the heirloom jadeite necklace. Many onlookers murmured amongst themselves, but Willow remained unmoved. Instead, she found their words utterly absurd. "Are you insane? Any feelings I had for you were personally extinguished by you long ago. Don't even talk about forgiving you, let alone getting back together with you. It's impossible. Get that idea out of your heads. Those heirlooms are your things. If you throw them away, it has nothing to do with me. I don't need them." With that, she decisively slapped each of them across the face. Samuel's face turned deathly pale. Already seriously injured, and now hit like this, he could no longer hold on and fell straight towards Willow. However, she unhesitatingly took a step back, letting him fall to the ground. Her cold action thoroughly pierced Samuel's heart. Even Alastair was momentarily stunned. At this moment, Willow spoke to them one last time. "Alastair Preston, Samuel Knightley, don't come looking for me anymore. I've long since moved on. To me, you are just friends I used to know. I might be with someone else, get married, have children, but that person will absolutely not be either of you." After speaking, she unhesitatingly turned and walked away. Even when she accidentally stepped on a hand-woven bracelet the 3 of them had made together in the past, she felt no pain at all. Her resolute attitude was clear enough. Alastair stared intently at her retreating figure, still unwilling to give up, wanting to chase after her. Just then, several police officers got out of their car and inquired, "Excuse me, who reported this? Who is responsible for all these items?" After some questioning, the police took Alastair and Samuel away. One police car couldn't fit so many people, so Willow and Felix offered to drive to the station to give their statements. The group headed to the police station. But at that moment, an old van suddenly sped towards the police car. Chapter 26, Felix Croft's driver was a retired Special Forces soldier. He reacted swiftly, skillfully maneuvering the car to dodge the oncoming van. However, the police car wasn't so lucky. Even though it was trying to evade, it was constrained by other vehicles nearby, limiting its range of movement. The van seemed to have locked onto the police car, its target clear. It accelerated recklessly, crashing into the rear of the police car. If anyone could have seen inside the van at that moment, they would have discovered that the woman in the driver's seat was none other than Iris Holloway, but her face and body were wrapped in bandages, and blood seeped from her wounds with every movement, a horrifying sight. Iris had gone mad. She had completely lost the will to live. She wanted to take Willow Templeton down with her when Alastair and Samuel had cut off her financial support. The little savings she had were insufficient for complete reconstructive surgery. Even after selling all the gifts they had given her, she couldn't find the best doctor, and the surgical results were mediocre. The doctor told her that recovery would be a long process, and her injuries weren't particularly severe. But Iris absolutely could not accept such an ugly version of herself. After returning to Bridgewater, she could even feel the contemptuous and disgusted gazes people cast her way. She couldn't bear to be so ugly anymore, so she spent money on restorative plastic surgery. Unexpectedly, she was scammed. Halfway through the surgery, the plastic surgery clinic was shut down. Her face was ruined, and the skin on her body was also destroyed. Due to her prolonged absences from class, the university issued frequent warnings and eventually expelled her. She had nothing left. Why should Willow Templeton still have everything? So, she decided to risk everything. To make everyone regret it, she saw Willow communicating with the police and agreeing to give a statement, so she quickly got into her car and prepared. Iris drove a dilapidated, abandoned van straight towards the police car. However, she never imagined that the people in the back seat of the police car were not Willow, but Alastair Preston and Samuel Knightley. She crashed into them recklessly. The entire rear of the police car caved in. The rear window shattered. Alastair, Samuel, and the auxiliary police officer were all unconscious. It was unclear where their bodies had been pierced, but blood flowed profusely, staining the police car red. Iris, in the old van behind, was no better off. Her forehead was also bleeding, and she fainted at the wheel, unconscious. For a moment, the sirens of ambulances and police cars wailed incessantly. Even Willow felt a lingering fear and quickly asked Felix if he was okay. He pulled her into his arms and patted her comfortingly. "It's okay, we're fine. They'll be fine too." After giving their statements at the police station, they waited outside the hospital emergency room for the Prestons and Knightleys to arrive. After all, they were once friends. Waiting for a while was the least they could do. Several days later, Samuel Knightley finally woke up. His injuries were relatively minor. Because he had fainted that day and was protected by the police, he wasn't severely hurt, though one of his legs was crushed and broken. Alastair Preston and the officer in the back seat were not so lucky. Shards of glass had pierced Alastair's head, a very dangerous injury. Although it wasn't life-threatening, the long-term consequences were uncertain. The officer's entire back was pierced by glass, and some of his internal organs were ruptured and bleeding. His life hung in the balance. Iris suffered a concussion, and both her legs were broken. It was, after all, a scrapped vehicle. Its protective capabilities were naturally weak. Chapter 27, after Samuel Knightley woke up, he refused to see Willow Templeton. Dad just let her go. It wasn't her fault that day, it was Iris. And the me now, I'm no longer worthy of her. The usually proud young Master Knightley was, for the first time, so humbled and dejected. He couldn't accept appearing before her with a lame leg. Although it would heal in the future, he still didn't believe it. What if it didn't heal properly? Would he have to limp in front of her for the rest of his life? When he was better, he would go find her. Samuel resolved this firmly in his heart. Kenneth and Catherine Knightley sighed repeatedly, but could do nothing but let him be. Just then, Samuel suddenly remembered Alastair Preston and asked, "Dad, Mom, why haven't I seen Alastair? Which room is he in? How badly is he hurt?" Kenneth and Catherine Knightley remained silent for a long time before giving him the answer. Alastair had woken up, but there was something wrong with his mind. Whenever he tried to think hard about something, his head would throb with pain. He lay in his hospital bed, silent for a long time, and also refused Willow's visit. "Willow Templeton? Who's that? I don't know her. I don't want to see her," Alastair said coldly. Willow, outside the hospital room, heard this and quietly left. She felt a certain amount of guilt, as Iris had been aiming for her when she accidentally hit Alastair and Samuel, but she hadn't done anything wrong. Therefore, Willow left some compensation and departed. Sensing she had left, Alastair in the hospital room wept silently. He had been faking it earlier. He hadn't lost his memory, but his current state wasn't much different from amnesia. For someone who had always been intelligent to be unable to think normally, forced to be a fool who thought about nothing, what kind of torment was this? Even if Iris was brought to justice, it couldn't make up for the injuries he had suffered. In such a state, how could he compete with Felix Croft? Not to mention, he had made so many mistakes. Alistair's eyes were downcast, his entire being exuding an aura of pain. If he had only suffered minor injuries, perhaps he could have used it to feign pitifulness and win Willow back. Now, he was just a wreck, Alistair thought with self-abandonment. Not long after, Samuel was wheeled in a wheelchair. Both their eyes held the same desolation. If it weren't for Iris, they wouldn't have ended up like this. No matter what, it would have been better than now. The two exchanged a look, both seeing the hatred in each other's eyes. Thus, under pressure from the Preston and Knightley families, Iris suffered immensely in prison, unable to live or die. Alistair and Samuel made the same choice, to hide the truth and not see her, because this way they could at least gain Willow's sympathy. Perhaps in a few years, after they recovered, they could use this sympathy to try again. However, due to their injuries and rehabilitation, both missed the college entrance exams the following year. It wasn't until the year after that they took the exams again. Samuel got into Northwood University. Alistair, however, only managed to get into another university in Northwood City. This was the result of Alistair's desperate efforts. The head injury might heal today, tomorrow, or perhaps never. On the first day of school, Samuel once again prepared a surprise and came to the university. However, on this day, many students were heading towards the sports field, saying there was some excitement. Apparently someone was holding a wedding. "Excuse me, classmate, could you help me find Willow Templeton?" Samuel stood downstairs at the dormitory and asked a girl for help. The girl, who had been shy just moments before, now had an indescribable expression. You're a new student, right? Senior Willow Templeton is getting married today, didn't you know?" Mentioning Willow, the girl seemed to have endless gossip to share. Senior Willow is as amazing as Senior Felix. She skipped several grades and has now been exceptionally admitted as a postgraduate student. She might even teach at our university in the future. The two of them are often seen together. They make such a perfect couple. They confessed and got engaged around this time last year. The scene was so romantic, everyone envied them. This year, they're getting married. Things are moving so fast. If you go to the sports field now, you should still be able to see their wedding. Hearing this, Samuel almost froze on the spot, motionless for a long time. He didn't know when he had walked into the sports field. In a corner, Alistair Preston also appeared beside him. They looked at the girl in the pure white wedding dress not far away, the longing in their eyes never dissipating. But they both knew it was too late. "Now, please, bride and groom, exchange rings." Willow Templeton and Felix Croft exchanged rings. The next moment, they embraced and kissed. Countless people cheered. Felix Croft swept Willow into his arms bridal style and ran towards the edge of the crowd. "Are you happy marrying me?" "Happy," Willow replied with a smile. They might not have been deeply in love yet, but they understood each other well enough. Two distinctly different souls, the moment they touched, knew they were right for each other. At some point, Alistair Preston and Samuel Knightley silently departed, heading in two different directions. The three who were once incredibly close had finally drifted apart. Although they were in the same city, Samuel and Alistair often heard news about them, but never saw them again. It was said that Willow Templeton graduated with her master's degree and won an international award. It was said that Felix Croft expanded the Croft family business and enjoyed a harmonious and happy marriage with Willow. It was said. Until one day, Samuel Knightley and Alistair Preston saw news about the two of them on television. Countless people envied their love, and even more so, their talent, and the trust and understanding they shared. Only then did they realize that Willow Templeton had reached a place far beyond their reach. They had long since lost any possibility